What's up? What's up? Now we're doing it from the couch because I just got back from hanging out with some friends at an event. It was cold, and I just want to sit somewhere comfy. So we're going from the office to the couch where I am just happen to be matching wonderfully too. So it happened to coincidentally match. Well, granted, it's my favorite color, so it works out. But that aside, trust. Trust, trust, trust. It's so interesting how life works in these layers because trust, like a great way that trust is kind of in your face is like with relationships, right? Whether that be family, friends, intimate, but especially in intimate, where there's that worry about trust, right? Like, don't break my trust. That's like a fear people have. And that's something you hear a lot of people say to their partner, right? Especially if there's been some turbulent times, the person cheats and they take them back. The whole thing about like, don't break my trust. But what's trippy about that, that's not really what you're afraid of. What you're afraid of is you questioning your own sense of trust because this was somebody that you felt you made a good reading on. This was somebody that you felt that you loved, somebody that you cared for, somebody that was the the person for you, the right fit, and then they do something that doesn't align to that. And then now you start going through the structure of trust and you start like breaking down that structure that you spent your entire life building to this idea of what you believed it to be, right? This trust that you have with yourself. And you start to now wonder, where did I go wrong? Like, where did I miss that this wasn't the right choice? Right? Was I not listening to myself? Was there something that I did? How could I have not have seen this? Like everything, like this person gave green flags. And it's not until, some time passes. Because again, there's especially like, with breakups and stuff, there's like this whole roller coaster of emotions. And there's the idea of like, you first see them with rose-colored glasses, and that's, the beginning stages of the breakup, to where like you want them back. You're thinking about all their best qualities, and everything was good, and it's like, and you start like putting it on you, and then it goes through another loop, and then you start to see the things that you ignored, and they weren't really that subtle, right? It was loud. You felt it. All those moments I was just like, not a match, not a match. That doesn't sit right. And it'll be override. I mean, that was part of my journey, right? As far as like the whole anxious, avoidant attachment, that was a journey in itself, where all of that is what? Trust. But trust with who? You. And as you start to see that the fear of not being able to trust yourself is really what comes up when the word trust comes into play. Where the relationship, or whatever the thing is, sweeps you off your feet, gets you so caught up into the moment that you make that thing more important than you, or you make that thing more important than you and what you're telling yourself. And it's not until after like situations like that you're like, never again, I'm always going to listen to me, and blah, 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 blah. So the whole concept of asking somebody for trust, don't break my trust. It's wanting to be able to put off that responsibility onto another person. Hey, I don't want to have to really pay attention to me. can I hit cruise control? And you just handle that, right? You just do the things that would allow me to be at ease and not have to like check in with me. But you're leaving yourself behind. You're no longer in the relationship anymore. So now with trust, it's just being able to decipher, like, can you trust you? Can you trust the messages that like come through you? We're all intuitive. It's just the people that appear gifted. Just listen to it more. And it's something that like I've kind of strayed away from saying that I do, right? As like being a very highly intuitive person, I know that I am. And I would try to find ways to normalize it for people and say like, hey, it's like dropping into your flow state. It's like when you're really focused, but honestly, just flat out, it's just intuition. And what the intuition is, and yeah, it's listening to your gut. It's just trusting yourself, not second guessing yourself, and just knowing when something feels right for you. But if you're trying to explain that or get other people to understand, then you're not, well, depends on the space where you're trying to get people to understand. But from there, you're not fully trusting yourself, quite honestly, if you're trying to get people to understand. And you have to just accept that some people will, some people won't, and that's okay. I spent so much time trying to explain certain things. Like I will over explain, but over explanation is just fear and doubt. To be able to just trust yourself so much that it's just like, hey, doing this thing, moving in this direction. Why? Why are you doing that? Because. And if people need more of an explanation or need more details and you feel called to share, you can. And if you don't, like you get that feeling like, hey, this person is not going to be receptive to what I'm saying. You have to trust that that's also intuition. Intuition is not just for certain moments or winning the lottery or making big decisions. It's literally all the time. Like the GPS is not just for when you get off the highway. It's for every single turn along the way. Even it's so detailed, even just going straight, it'll tell you, hey, in a mile, you just keep going straight. It's the same thing with you. It's like if you feel that the idea comes, or maybe just out of habit, like you want to explain and you want to share this thing, and you get the feeling of like, that's you telling you, hey, no, not right now. Maybe, may not be never, but just not right now. Don't say that thing now to that person. Just keep that with you. And the funny thing about trust is you also have to trust like the feedback that you're getting, how you feel about the things that you're wanting. And the aspect of deceiving oneself gets in the way of manifestation, right? I felt that for myself, and when I guide people through it, like in coaching, I could tell when somebody's saying the right things and they're saying like the words perfectly, but it's not aligned. Like, you can see it, you can feel it. And it's like, it's okay to be frustrated. Trust the feedback that you're getting, because what you get to trust that you're not holding yourself back. You always mean well. You are your absolute best friend. You've known yourself your entire life. Like if you see yourself, you're the version, let's see, the awareness of you, right? You're living life through the eyes of you, and your name, the person, that relationship has been happening your entire life. you have your back 100%. So if there's that like that internal, almost like electrocution, that vibration feeling of like or that tension, that not, however you want to describe it, it's just letting you know, hey, there's something in here. You don't fully believe this. And when you trust yourself so much that you know that you love yourself 100%, then you can take that without judgment. You can see the value behind that. You want to know that. It's uncomfortable, right? Especially like when you want something so much and so bad, you're like, yeah, but this thing has to happen. This thing, like, I really, 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 really want this thing, like with everything in my life and my fiber and being. Like, if this doesn't happen, everything's going to go to fucking shit. And you still need to know what's in the way of that. That's why it hasn't happened. It sucks, I know. We don't ever really want to hear that shit. But, like, if you're driving on the highway, you want to know if, like, the e-brake is on. Like, one time, I let my friend drive my car. He was wearing a big hoodie, and, like, it was a Ford Escort. And we're driving on the highway, and it, like, it's just, like, you can feel the resistance. It's not going that fast. I'm like, this is weird. He's like, yo, is your car okay? I'm like, yeah, like, I really take care of my car. He's like, bro, I'm flooring it. It's not really going. And like, it's moving. Bro, we got to my friend's house. It was about like a 15-minute drive. Got to my friend's house. He like took his hoodie up. He's like a bigger dude. The e-brake was on. I was like, no, you did not drive my car on the highway, pedal to the fucking metal with the e-brake on. But again, like, and by the way, brakes were smoking. The car was fine, right? It was kind of a beater. It's cool, but you know, like, I took care of it. the the brakes were smoking, but you want to know that in itself was a prime example as to why you don't want to push through resistance or push past resistance, like move forward with resistance. That's not good. The brakes worked after, but it wasn't a good thing that they were smoking. Like, could you imagine if it was a longer trip? Like, what would have happened? And it's just, you want to know that those are the intentions that you have with you. That you're letting yourself know, hey, I know this thing is really important to you. I know you really, really want this thing. And you're moving in the direction of this thing. You can't help but do that. You have the brakes on, though. Okay, cool. What's going to allow you to take the brakes off? Because depending on what the resistance is, the approach is different, right? Because there's brakes on the car, and it's as simple as lifting your foot off the brake and putting it on the gas. That could actually be a form of resistance. Like, if you're hesitant in starting, that's one where you lift your foot off the brake, put on the gas, right? You want to see, why is your foot on the brake? But for something like that's a little more deeper, and it's kind of like the e-brake is on, that's not the same approach as to taking your foot off the brake. You have to lift it a little bit, push the button, and then put it down, right? That's how it was in the Ford Escort. So it's like, and now in the newer cars, it's like you have to push a specific button. So it's like the action, the approach, not the action, but the approach is different depending on the resistance. So like, kind of like what I was mentioning in my other video, which, by the way, I know the audio was a little lower. I searched it up, adjusted my microphone, so Should be louder now. I'll make sure it is. But the approach is different depending on the resistance. So just like I was saying in the previous video, what I was doing before wasn't working because that was for those specific resistances. It's going to be the same thing for all of us, right? Same thing for you is like, okay, what worked before is not going to work now because that worked for that specific thing. There may be some similarities, right? There may be like a similar approach to it where it's going to be easier to navigate to certain points, but there's going to be something different. Because if it was tied to, the reason why the same approach doesn't work is because everything within us is connected like a spider web, right? And the way I receive my intuition, my downloads is like, I see what I'm saying. Like I have to look in certain areas and then I can see it and then I can explain it. So that's how like my gifts work. So if you see me doing that, that's what I'm doing. So everything within us is all connected like a spider web. So whatever was connected to that resistance, right? And you took that approach and you got to release it, then that got to dissolve with it as well. So if you approach another new resistance, right? Well, not new, but you know what I mean. Resistance you haven't released yet. Then it's not going to work because you did that already. You released it towards that thing. There has to be a different approach. And like a different intention going into it, a different level of focus. And that allows you to approach resistance with creativity. Because as you approach your resistance with creativity, you're not so stuck on one way. And then you don't feel like you failed when you come across resistance and you try a way that worked before and it doesn't work anymore. That's not failure. It doesn't mean you're not doing the right. It doesn't mean you're not doing the right thing. Like you're showing yourself, hey, we're on the right track because we realize the resistance is there. Now we just gotta find the right approach to it, the right angle. It's kind of like what I was telling a friend about for that specific resistance. It's kind of like a clam, all right? So the approach for that one would be like a clam. A clam is like, yeah, there's the approach where you could jam it, pop it. That might work. But sometimes maybe you need to, I know there's ones where you put like salt on the ground and the tongue will come out, lick the salt. Now you use that approach to get what was once closed, right? Like the armor, the hardened shell part of you to now open up willingly. So if like before you were able to like jam in, pop it open, rah, cry. I don't know why that was the sound effect, rah. But you got to release that way, then probably you come across a part of you that just doesn't open up that way. And it won't open up that way, no matter how hard you try. So it's like, okay, so if you can't open it from the outside in, then what's the different approach? You have to open it from the inside out. And what could that salt be, right? The salt to get the clam to lick the outside so it could open. And then now you can, approach that shadow aspect. Safety. That's what I found works the best, the most with all parts. Because all parts of us just want to feel safe. So approaching yourself with that love, that safety, providing safety and security, that when that part of you does open up, it's reassured that it can trust you to not judge it, to not hurt it, harm it, make it feel any more guilty or shameful than it already does. That's why it's all clammed up. So that trust, that, hey, going full circle, there was an experience where somebody did something that really hurt. And now, if we allow people into our lives, they have to not do that thing. Well, how can you connect with that part of you so it can feel safe enough to tell you how it really felt? And sound like I was getting choked up, right? Just no, but it is deep. It's something I really had to do with myself, with all parts. But it's like, find out, like, how that part of you really feel. But most importantly, like, what were you telling yourself? Like, how was that part, like, just really connecting with that part of you? And what's going to happen is you're not going to need anybody to make you feel secure. You're not going to need anybody to make you feel safe enough to trust. You're just going to trust. Why? Because you're back with the person you could trust 100%, you. And oftentimes, it takes those parts of us that are so afraid to even open up to us to feel safe enough to open up. And then we feel such a level of trust, such a level of security, that it's like, I don't care who's around. I don't care what they do. Because I'll trust, I'll know what to do, when to do it, how to do it. I'll trust, I'll know what to say, when to say, how to say it. So I'm not relying on you to do something, because if you're needing somebody to not break your trust, you're not willing to walk away. When you trust yourself 100%, you're not needing that person anymore. You've got everything you need. From that space, there's nothing to lose. That fear gets released. And this chihuahua is going off in the background. I don't know if you can hear it. I just didn't want to act like it wasn't happening. I feel like that dog just like barks with its entire body. It's like this big. Side note, by the way. Went on a little I just went deep, and then I went on the tangent right by the shore. But it's good because it's about time to wrap this up. I want to make these like short, like 20 minutes-ish. We at 23, but this was nice. I wanted to do one yesterday, and I got fixated on finishing up my website. I like revamped it for the third time. But it's good. It's awesome. It's awesome. I'm so happy I did. I like meditated, and it told me like redo it. And I'm so glad I did. First time it was very whimsical. There's a lot of like and by the way, video's finished. But if you want to stick around and listen, I appreciate you. Like, share, subscribe, comment so we can engage. And yeah, so the first time was very whimsical. It was very a lot of AI pictures. It looked pretty dope. I liked it. But then I had a friend give me feedback that was like, hey, you gotta like ground this. It's very up here. You need to like ground this and make it more practical. And I was like, okay, fine. Because I use pictures of real people. Fine. Nah, I was open to it. So I did it. It was good, but it was still like, it still had some AI pictures. So I was just like, I gotta full circle this and complete it. So I did. I'm proud of myself for doing that, and I'm proud of myself for coming back, doing this video, and doing it on the couch because it's comfy here. I like my desk, but we get to switch up the scenery, mix it up. Plus, there's a lot of orange here. Orange is such a dope color. It's so vibrant. And yeah, me on the big comfy couch. So I'm wishing you an amazing day. That's gonna be the end of it. And yeah, let's connect. Reach out, like, share, subscribe for sure. But reach out in the comments. Let me know what you got out of this. Let's like, I want to make this like a fun channel, right? Like a fun community. But I want to make it deep. I like I just love seeing the patterns of life, which is why I do what I do, like as a coach for pattern breaking and self-worth integration. And just like seeing the patterns of life and the layers to us as human beings is just like, it's incredible. It's awesome and it's amazing. With that being said, much love and appreciation for you. I'm wishing you an amazing day. It's nighttime, so I'm wishing you an amazing night. And I will catch you later.